Hi, this is going to be a video just going through a couple of problems from this Thursday review, which is a review all about this week, and it kind of encompasses the goals, which are all in one goal here, and it's stated like this: I can use my knowledge of solving equations to find solutions to the equations and graph them. So we're going to try and find solutions to equations which we'll find are ordered pairs and graph them. And that's kind of what the theme from this week was. So I asked you to do at least two problems from each section, and that would be the next three slides. You must show your work, and you must, if you want to receive a free Corner Pass, you must complete all three from each section, plus one of the challenge problems on the last one. So I'm just going to go through one problem from each slide to help you out here. So first of all, it says the first section, it says creating a table of values to graph. The directions say given the equation, create a table of values, and then graph the function. So I'm going to go through number one. I will go through number one for you. Number one, x minus 4y. I'm going to move this down so that I have some more room for myself to work. Get this out of there. So we have x minus 4y equals 12. And if you recall, the first thing you're supposed to do is just pick at least three random variables for x. Okay, so I'm going to say 0 is always a nice one to do. We'll do 0, 2, 4. All right. So with those values, you just start one at a time and you plug them in for the equation. And so if you plug it in, remember this is the x value, so you plug it in for the x on the equation. All right. So the first x value is 0. 0 is usually a pretty nice one. That would be 0 minus 4y equals 12. And now you just have to solve for y. So 0 minus 4y, that's negative 4y. Negative 4y equals 12. And then it's a one-step equation to solve for y, which would be dividing by negative 4 to cancel out this negative 4, and divide the other side by negative 4 to keep it balanced. And you have y equals 12 divided by negative 4 would get you a negative 3. So you take that and you put it right up next in the y column next to the 0. So when x is 0, y is negative 3. All right, so very good. I am going to group that and minimize that so we have some more room over here. And now we're going to do 2. So for when x is 2, what is the y? So we plug in the x, or 2 for x. So 2 minus 4y equals 12. We do have to get rid of this 2 before we can divide by negative 4 like before. So to get rid of this 2, we subtract 2. And a common mistake that I see is people trying to add 2 because there's this minus sign after the 2. But if it's not before the 2, it doesn't have anything to do with the 2. Okay, it's got to be before it. Okay, so this is just a positive 2 that we're going to subtract from both sides. So subtract 2 over here. Cancels this out, and you have negative 4y equals 10. All right, and last step is to divide both sides by negative 4 again. Divide over here by negative 4. That cancels out y equals 10 divided by negative 4, which would be negative 2.5. So we have negative 2.5 here. And I will take that and make that minimized again. And we'll complete the last work, which would be for our last x value, which is x equals 4. And we'll plug that back into the equation. X equals 4. Put that in for the x. 4 minus 4y equals 12. We'll subtract that 4 from both sides. Negative 4y then. Don't forget that minus sign. Equals 8. Divide both sides by negative 4. Y ends up equaling negative 2. All right. And with that, we are just about done with the problem. The only last step that has to be done is, move this over here, is to graph it. It says to graph the function. So you got to know how to graph it. Now, if you have graph paper, it makes it a lot easier. I will just make my own little graph here. We'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, -1, -3, -4, 1, 2, 3, 4, -1, -2, -3, -4. It's not perfect, but it'll show you kind of how it will look. All right. So 0, -3 is our first point. 0 over, down 3. 2 over, down 2.5. So 2 over, and 1, 2.5 would be right about there. And then 4 over 1, 2, 3, 4, down 2, would be right about there. All right. And what you need to do with that then is connect the dots and draw a line through it with arrows, because this line really would extend forever. And once you have that, you are done with the problem. That is how you create a table from an equation and graph it. All right, so next section. Next section says 2. All right, given the equation, we're given an equation again. And the range. Ooh, this time we have the range instead of the making up our own domain. We have the range. Find the domain, then graph the function. So I think I'm going to pick number 2 here. We'll get this one out of there. I'm going to replace that with that. Get that out of there. And so for number 2, you have 5x equals 6 plus 3y, and we're given the y values. We have to solve for x. So instead of the x values, now we have the y values. And remember, we're going to plug that in for y. Alright, so the first one, take -2. You still have 5x equals 6 plus, this would be 3. Instead of 3 times y, it's 3, sorry about that. It's 3 times -2. Right, so then 5x equals 6 plus -6, which is actually 6 plus -6 is 0. 5x equals 0. Alright, so that's all simplified over there. We combine the like terms, which are just numbers. Now we can divide both sides by 5 to figure out what the x value is. Oops. Divide by 5. And that would be x equals 0. Because anything, 0 divided by anything is just 0. If you have nothing, you divide it into 5 groups, it still has 0 in each group. So that means that x is 0 when y is -2. So we put 0 right there. And grouping that, we'll get rid of that. So now we're going to do the next one, which is y equals 2. All right, in red then, we're going to put 2 in for the y. So we have 5x equals 6 plus 3 times 2, which this would be 6. So that would be 6 plus 6. So 5x equals 12. Divide both sides by 5. X equals 2 2/5, or 2.4 would be the decimal of this answer. Solve for x, we're done. So 2 2/5, which would be 2.4. Excuse me. All right. Then we have one more to do. And that would be plugging in 4 for the y value. Plug in 4. So we have 5x equals 6 plus 3 times 4. And 3 times 4 is 12. So you end up having 5x equals 6 plus 12, which is 18. And then again, you go ahead and divide both sides by 5. So x equals 3 3/5, which would be 3.6. And, and there you go. Now, the biggest mistake that I see with this is instead of plugging the y in for the y, a lot of times we just always want to plug in for the x. But in this case, we're given the y values, so we have to plug them in to find the x values. All right? So, there you go. You have your new x and y ordered pairs. And then you have to go ahead and graph, just like the last one. It says to graph the function. So we'll make our little makeshift graph here, which you can use graph paper to make it look better. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That one was not a good one. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we will plot 0, -2. 0 over, down 2. 2.4 and 2. So 2.4 about right there and 2. Again, I'm approximating here. 3.6, 1, 2, 3.6, and 4. Which would be about right there. If you look, it does look like it forms a line again. I will go right through that with my line. And there is the graph of this equation. And that's what it should look like. That's what you're expected to do. All right, so then the last problem that we're going to do here. Last problem is finding the solution set. So you're given a replacement set, and we need to find the solution set. And for this one, let's see. I might as well do number 3. Number 3. I did number 1 for the first one, number 2 for the second one. I'll do number 3 now. So let's find the solution set. And if you recall, finding the solution set, you'll have to take each of the. We have a bunch of ordered pairs. We have an x and a y. We have an x and a y. An x and a y. That's what ordered pairs are. They're an x and a y value that, tells you where to plot it on the graph. But if you're given the equation, you just plug it in for the equation. But make sure you put the x in for the x and the y in for the y. X and y. So the first one, we have x is 5 and y is 41. So 41 equals 7 times 5 plus 6. And what we have to do then is just solve it. Simplify everything that you have there to figure out what set equal to each other. So it'd be 41 equals 7 times 5, which is 35, plus 6. And then 41 equals 31 plus 6, which is 41. And that's a good thing. That means that this one is true. So that's part of our solution set. So we'll circle that one. Yeah, whoops. All right. We got the work for that one right there. Let's do another one. Let's do 6 and 44. So remember, y is 44, so we do 44 equals 7 times 6 plus 6. So then 44 equals, this is going to be 42. 42 plus 6 is 48. And this is not equal. So a sad face here. That makes us cross out the second one. That's not going to be part of our solution set, since they're not equal. That makes a false statement. So it's not a solution to the equation. All right, there's 2 of them done. Let's do the third one. Y is 39, and then x is 7 times 4 plus 6. All right, this is 28. 7 times 4 is 28, so 39 equals 28 plus 6, which is 34. Again, this one is not equal. So we'll cross that one out, not part of our solution set. And then the last thing we need to do is the point 7, 42. So our x is 7 and our y is 42. That means 42 equals 7 times 7 plus 6. 7 times 7 is 49. And so 42 equals 49 plus 55, not equal. So we shall, I'm going to make it smaller, but no, we can cross that out. That one is not part of the solution set. So the only one that we circled was the 0.541. So our solution set is, with our fancy brackets, the 0.541. The fancy brackets. There you go. That's your answer. That is how you go about doing numbers 1, 2, and 3 from the third slide. All right, and some of it's mental math. But you're trying to find which pairs of ordered pairs work, which ones fit into that equation. And with that being said, I completed one from each of the sections, and I wish you good luck on the rest of them. And if you're going for the challenge, the homework challenge, go ahead. Good luck. Have fun. And make sure you show your work.